I'm not much of a singer, but I'm trying my best to keep up. I've come to this church in downtown Chicago with M. Her legal name is Mary Ann, but she doesn't go by that anymore. The pastor here has invited M to share her story. 4 years ago, M came out as a lesbian. But since then, she feels that doesn't really describe her situation anymore. She doesn't see herself as a woman or a man.
Good morning. It's such a pleasure to be here and to have the opportunity to worship among you all this morning.
M grew up in the United Methodist Church, the second biggest Protestant denomination in the US.
As the beloved they are. I've struggled for a number of reasons, but certainly a big one has been that I simultaneously love the United Methodist Church and feel called to be a minister in this church, but I am also unapologetically queer. Both of these realities live so deeply in my bones that I am incapable of giving up one for the other.
The church has been ordaining women since the 1960s. But practicing homosexuals, as the church calls them, can't become ministers.
I was told, and I knew also, that there was 0% chance. But just from a theological, spiritual perspective, I really felt like it was not my responsibility to refuse myself from doing what I felt like I'm supposed to do with my life.
M has wanted to become a minister ever since she was a teenager. A few months ago, she moved to Chicago, together with her partner, Ananda.
Tried to beat you, but you're so hot that I fell right through the cracks. Yay!
M and Ananda got married a year ago. They have a lot in common. Ananda also wants to be a minister.
It's true, it was really bad.
Her church does allow gay and lesbian pastors, but it's still an uphill battle.
The Presbyterian Church is 96% white, most of the pastors are male, and most are straight. So those odds are really against me in order for a congregation to want a queer, black, female pastor. Very, very slim. I'm glad we were able to be healthy. Yeah.
And so Lady Gaga uses a lot of religious symbols.
M came out while she was still studying at a seminary in Texas.
For a little while.
She even started a community there to support queer students on campus. How did the United Methodist Church treat you during this time where you seeked ordination?
Well, I mean, it changed a lot over the 8 years. They started off incredibly supportive. But once I came out, it was a lot more ambiguous. It really depended on who I was talking to. And so my district committee in Austin were incredible. I mean, they ended up getting in trouble because of their support of me. They had official complaints filed against them because they voted me forward even though I had come out to them.
M's case drew media attention. The Texas church wanted to end her candidacy before she even got to the final interview. But M sought legal advice and rallied support on social media. In the end, church officials were forced to put it to a vote.
There was so many conversations that were really offensive that were being had publicly.
About what?
So one of the big things was whether or not people felt like they had enough information to decide whether or not I'm having sex. And so there was official discussion on whether or not I was practicing. That happened in a room of 400 clergy. And so there were conversations like that are just normalized in the Methodist Church that are absolutely humiliating and dehumanizing.
I want to talk to United Methodist ministers who support the official policy. What's their reasoning?
Oh, I was on a Fulbright, actually. Oh,
really? Reverend Scott Field is the senior pastor of a big church west of Chicago. 700 people come to hear his sermons every Sunday.
I mean, you don't want to peak too early.
He shows me the Book of Discipline, which lays out the rules for everyone in the United Methodist Church.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Same thing. The idea. Yeah. The practice of homosexuality is incompatible with Christian teaching. Therefore, self-avowed practicing homosexuals are not to be certified as candidates, ordained as ministers, or appointed to serve in the United Methodist Church.
But to a gay person, this sounds pretty harsh. Do
Right.
you feel this is unjust?
What, this statement?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so at all. See, it has to do with what's the gospel. And that's, you know, so there may be different takes on this, different understandings, but if the gospel is just an affirmation of who I am, let's say that I'm a particularly randy or promiscuous heterosexual, has nothing to do with being gay or lesbian, well, the church has some rules about that too. It says to me, that may be the way you used to be, but if you're a follower of Jesus, you have to change your sexual behavior. They're not arguing, I mean,
To me, it still seems unfair. Reverend Scott can be married to his wife and be a minister, but M has to choose. M is waiting for the day her church will change. In the end, she did get her interview in Texas, but the ordination committee rejected her, saying they had doubts about her inner calling as a minister. They didn't once mention her sexuality. In Chicago, M has found a new spiritual home. A United Methodist Church that accepts her as she is, with pastors who support her. After all she's been through, she still wants to become a minister in the church she's known all her life. Why do you think is it important for you to keep pursuing ordination?
Well, there are plenty of other LGBT people in this church, and there are LGBT youth and LGBT children growing up right now being told that they're incompatible with Christian teaching. And so it's important to me, as long as I can, to keep pushing back against a church that's harming the people that are growing up in this church. I want them to see queer pastors. I want them to know they can be a pastor too. I mean, I want them to know that the church is a place that should embrace them and affirm them, and they should be able to be whoever they are.
M and Ananda continue to fight for their dream. And someday, I hope to see them in the pulpit.
I have a planetarium thing going on.